I know that I'm not Maria.
I have that.
You do?
Thank
you so much. But Maria actually about, I don't know, 3 o'clock or so was asked by her work to stay to work overtime because of a very big printing job. So, of course, so Cindy and I being co-vice presidents decided we would pitch in, of course. So, this is weird, the where you guys are sitting, and I know that it's comfy, but we're going to have Janine Pierce, and she's going to think we're weird if none of these.
This is just like school, where they all try to sit in the back.
I know.
Or church, same thing.
We get all the back.
Yeah.
Put them in the bag.
We can move.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll just move, we'll just limp along.
Okay, all Bob, right?
We set that up for her up there, that's why we did that, but it's fine. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to point out is at the top of every welcome, the welcome part of every one of our agendas, Maria has put this little phrase, this little passage, and it's been on our agendas for a really long time, and as a result, I think it's really working much better. Sometimes when Eileen, here's a comfy chair right up here. Can you come on up? Right, no, that's the front. This is in the back.
Oh, but maybe it's easier for her to get in through this side.
No, that's
So there, I think, come up
Anyway, no, I think that's kind of interesting about norms in a group sometimes, that if we're asked to not cross-talk and interrupt and all that, and after a while gently it sort of sinks in, and so it's happening. All right, let's get started. The first items are the informational items. So our first order of business is to approve the minutes from September. And hopefully you had a chance to look them over. Carol sent them. Did everybody have at least 2 seconds?
So you should have gotten them in an email. I do have one hard copy. Believe it or not, in spite of all the paper that you just got handed, we are trying to conserve paper. So I do have one hard copy that I can pass around if you want to take a look at it. And then anytime you want to see, thank you, minutes from past meetings, we have the magic binder that Dee set up. It's so good. You can look up any minutes of past general meetings, executive meetings, agendas, financial forms. It's all in there. So that's our history right there. So I guess we would entertain a motion to approve minutes.
Have a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. That's a discussion. Those opposed? Great. Looks like we have all of us.
Secretary of this group.
I'm Laurel Telfer, and I'm the co-vice president.
Hi, I'm Cindy, and I'm vice president.
Eileen.
Eddie Rosales, Cal Heights.
Okay.
Maria Mejia, president.
Stellar Soy.
Thank you, Rosales.
Jerry Farmia.
Kenny Allen.
Julia Murphy.
Zoe Nicholson.
Janine Pierce.
Lisa Davis. Rodriguez.
Stuart Gordon.
All right. Hey. Great. All right, let's forge ahead. Okay, let's have our treasurer's report from Lynn.
Okay, well, we started the month of September off with $666.75 in our federal account, $411.16 in the state account. No deposit. Expenses out of the federal account to reimburse Stewart for the annual website fee. And our ending balances total the two accounts, $1,050.90.
That's not bad. Okay. All right, any questions or discussion about that? Yes.
Is it time for membership?
Well, yes, that was the other thing I wanted to
It is,
mention.
except I forgot to print more membership membership forms, and so I only have 5 of them. Do you have some? You're
I
in the house
don't, but you
somewhere?
can still join on Act Blue or rejoin on Act Blue if you go to our
Yeah, except
website.
They take a cut, so.
But it's Act Blue, I mean,
It's
So-
small.
But
Yeah.
the point being that, as a quick reminder, membership is $15 a year, or
Unless
$10
you're
a year,
senior.
senior or student, right?
It's
If you-
$10.
It's $10 if you're
$10 for
Senior.
senior or student
Yeah.
or student.
And,
or veteran.
and we accept the renewals once a year. We usually do it starting at the beginning of, say, September, October, November, when it finished by the December 15th or December meeting if possible. So that's what Maria's talking about. So any of you, if you're interested,
We do have some forms.
and there are some forms that if people want to join. Yes.
Think about raising it, it's so.
Actually, an interesting thing, Shana, is that some of us have been attending some of the other Democratic clubs and progressive clubs in the region. They're all $10 and $15.
Really?
Yeah, they are. San Pedro Dems is $10, $15, same categories we have. That's because it's not meant to be a money-raising thing. It's inclusive and we want people to be part of it. But by just having a little bit, paying a little bit of money, I think people are able to make a commitment. Do you have, yeah, you should be talking.
Yeah, I'd just like to say is that if anybody would like to give
Right.
the 10 or 15 and then they want to give $5 a month on a sustaining basis or $10 a month, or you have a pack of money and you want to give $100 one day, I mean, we would certainly accept your cash or your checks or your credit cards, I think, so definitely.
Actually, we have a little information item, more of an announcement later in the meeting about the fundraising work that we did last time, so we'll talk about that. Okay, we need a motion, I think. Do we need a motion?
no.
Okay, great. Okay, we're gonna have some committee reports now, and on your agenda, that it says voter registration, but we're gonna put that a little later because it fits a little bit better, so we'll start right off with Cindy and Moby.
Okay, money out, voters in, and what was so wild is last meeting, as a lot of you were here, and I normally check my email like every 10 minutes, and I did not check my email before I came to that meeting, but when I got home from that meeting was in my email box the most exciting news in the whole world to me. In 2014, a small group of people from a group called Money Out, Voters In, which I work alongside, decided we were going to try to get an overturned Citizens United Act onto the California statewide ballot. And we started out in February. A lot of people said it couldn't be done. They said, you know, you've got to get this thing through the Assembly, California Assembly and the California Senate, and you only have until like June 29th. And we don't think you can do it. But we found an author. We found Ted Lieu, who represented like the South Bay area. He became our author. We were the co-sponsors, Money Out, Voters In. And we literally flew up to Sacramento on our own dimes and knocked on every single door and talked to every single legislator. And we were able to get that bill passed by June 29th. And Governor Brown, he didn't sign it, but it's a pocket signing. There's something called a pocket sign. He did not want to actually sign it, but he also didn't really want to veto it, so he did a pocket signing by doing nothing. By doing nothing, it allowed it to move right on, and it was to be on the ballot in November 2014. Now, at that point, we thought we were in like Flint, because we had done what we had to do. What we didn't know is that the moneyed interest did not want that on the ballot. They did not want the citizens of California to know that we could overturn Citizens United, and that in fact that was a possibility. And by putting it on the ballot and asking the voters, do you want to instruct your state legislators and your federal legislators to pass an amendment or amendments to the Constitution? So they went to court, and the lower courts threw them out, and then the California Supreme Court stepped in and said, well, we are not going to make a decision, but we are going to hold this off the ballot. So because the ballots had to go to print and they didn't want it to go forward, they stopped us. So what we were doing now is we're trying to restore it to the ballot. Well, the California Supreme Court has taken our case. Our case is coming up on October 6th, that's next Tuesday. And that was the news in my email box. It said it is going to be heard in front of the California Supreme Court.
Good job.
Yes, and so we are having a rally on Tuesday in front across the street from the Supreme Court at a plaza where there's room to gather people. There's going to be, they actually put us in a special room in the Supreme Court where 300 people can actually watch it. And we're gathering people from organizations like the Courage Campaign, Progressive Democrats, the Clean Money Campaign, Democracy for America. I mean, every major common cause is behind this. We have, lots of media interest in it. We've got Michelle flying to San Francisco on Sunday. She's going to be on several radio shows and some TV shows, Michelle Sutter. So, it's a big deal, and I'm gonna be there representing all of you, and we're gonna table and rally, and then we're gonna go in and watch the proceedings. And the good news is that the court will have to give an answer. The deliberation will have to be complete by January 31st, based on the fact that they're taking the case up on the 6th. So that means we have, once they give the ruling and they say, yes, this can move forward, we will be on the ballot in November 2016. Assuming they do rule in our favor. And we do have some inside information. The Chief Justice of the California Supreme Court was at an event that Michelle Sutter was at, and it was a public policy symposium. And the whole concept was, what about voter participation? How can we increase voters feeling like their vote counts? And so this was the whole purpose of it. And Michelle was able to ask the Supreme Court Justice a question about how it was so disenfranchising for the voters of California to not be able to vote on this issue when it had passed legally through the Assembly and the Senate. And she said, well, just hold on to your seats, because October 6th, we're going to find out what's going to happen.
She's a Republican.
She's a Republican, and she ruled in our favor for the first ruling, but she was overruled.
What's her name?
Tani Sakaui.
Yeah, right.
She's Japanese, whatever. Anyway, the bottom line is, we think she's on our side, and we think that she could sway the rest of the court. So we think there's a good chance we will be on the ballot, and man, would that be something? I mean, talk about something to talk about on this election is how a small group of people can actually make something like that happen. And so it is not, it is productive for you to vote. Yes, it is productive for you to call your legislators. It's productive for everyone to get involved, and there is a reason for it. And I think that's going to be the most empowering thing we do. And I think the rest of the states will follow suit. Already 3 states have already done this. They put it on their ballot. They've all won between 77 to 80% of the people. Even in red states, they say, yes, there's too much money in politics. Get the money out. So, I think it's going to be like a landslide. I really think there's going to be an avalanche of stuff here.
One of the things that's really cool, and we talked about this just in our e-board meeting on Monday, is that, there are 6 Dem clubs in Long Beach, for example. And we're the only one that has major representation on the Moby issue, thanks to Cindy. I mean, really, and it gives us that real activist knowledge, or not knowledge, persona. And that's why when Sergio came to talk to us about, he was the fellow from the Democratic Club that we talked about last time. He said that the Yes We Can Democratic Club has a lot of credibility, and they're known as activists. And so all of you who are here are helping to do those things, and as we get more. But anyway, Moby is. We've all a lot of us have helped with Moby stuff and done a lot of things.
Everybody's been working on it.
But without Cindy having stuck in there like a junkyard dog, we would.
But here's the other thing is that remember we've been gathering letters for people to write to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
We have over 100,000 that have written into a petition between Clean Money Campaign and the Courage Campaign. Here's on Tuesday we're going to be in San Francisco. We're going to be hearing the Supreme Court deliberation, and then on the following Friday night, the pay-to-play movie will become on our website, and you will be able to listen to that movie, stream that movie for free for 72 hours, so like the whole weekend, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And so we're putting that on our website. We're going to send a blast out to let everyone know that they can come to our website and do that. And then we've got, we still want to talk about the Supreme Court letters, because obviously we could still send Supreme Court letters the week after next and the week after next. I mean, those letters can keep coming, no problem. So we're going to ask people to come and do that. And then the third part is on our website is we're going to have a debate party, and Eileen Ringerman has offered her house for the first Democratic presidential Maria?
The idea is to tie an action into the feel-good part after you watch the movie. Because after you watch the movie, you're gonna be motivated to do something about getting the money out of politics. You're gonna wanna talk to like-minded people, do something. So you can sign a petition right after that, right on the website. And you can look at our little flyer that says, we're having a debate watch party, the first Democratic debate. And Eileen's gonna host it. So you can hang out with us and people like us that think that getting the money out of politics is what we have to do.
It's on Tuesday, October 13th.
Yeah, so Tuesday will be at the Supreme Court, and then the following Tuesday will be at Eileen Ringelman's house, and we're gonna bring new people in, hopefully more people will join our club, getting ready for 2016, the year of elections, so it's exciting.
I think it's probably gonna be
6 o'clock.
It is 6, yeah. 'cause
It'll
they-
probably be a 6 to 8, and people will probably be done by then.
So that's all I have.
Very good, thank you. Okay, do you want me to carry on, Maria? I mean,
Yes, please go
okay.
ahead.
So now we have an endorsement committee report. Eileen Ringelman.
Yes, and I'm going to ask Shane to join me. In the interest of saving paper, I'm going to make a couple of handouts so you can share. Shayna and I met, and Stuart was there in spirit, but he'll be with us in person next time. And we wrote a mission statement and objectives, as well as some processes. I hope you don't mind sharing. So if you could just look over the mission statement and objectives, I think they're not controversial. Propositions. So under processes, page 1, you see processes and initiatives, and the purpose, which is to support. We included national because we get international things. Sometimes we also vote for presidents and things of that nature, so we didn't want to remain local or statewide. We also thought that if someone has an issue or an initiative that they want this club to review and to endorse it, they should submit some type of documentation to the club for review. So that is down here also. We are going to develop criteria. We haven't developed what it is that these folks need to provide for us, but we're going to be doing that on our next time around. Candidates, same thing. We would like for them to submit a resume and or a questionnaire. We got our information from the Democratic Party website, and it has gobs and gobs of stuff on endorsements. It's very sophisticated. It's far more sophisticated than we need. But they do have some questions, and they do have some information here that we can borrow, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So the committee is to review and recommend candidates to the E-Board, and these candidates are to reflect the principles and beliefs of the Democratic Party, and we will get back to them within 30 days of submission. The last is endorsement committee rules and regs. It simply says that this committee will be appointed by the E-Board. The duration of service should be 2 years, and it should be staggered. I mean, 3 of us started at the same time, but it would be better if we have someone start every year so it's not reinventing the wheel every time someone gets together. So staggering terms is encouraged to promote continuity of expertise as well as the recruitment of enthusiastic club members. So we really worked hard on this, and I think it's 2 minutes or less. It doesn't seem quite right.
Very impressive.
It's excellent.
Okay, so thank you, and Stuart, you're not off the hook. You're coming next time.
Thank you, Eileen, that's great. You know, we've needed this we've been thinking about having it.
Before we shoot it, is there something you would like to say to me to monopolize?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a comment, and it's regarding our bylaws and the endorsement, the portion of the bylaws that talk about endorsement. We're going to be interjecting the new text, actually it's a direction from CalDown to put into our bylaws in order to be able to select a candidate, or maybe 2, depending on how many members we have, to represent this club in the process of picking candidates for endorsing issues with the larger Los Angeles County Democratic Party. And I'm going to get together with Dagmar and Carol and who else is on the bylaw?
Eileen is also.
And Eileen, but is there someone else on bylaws, or whoever, the bylaw committee to talk about this. We'll get the text together, we'll present it at the next e-board meeting, and get approval and continue the process. Is this the time to start?
That this was the natural next step after we had looked into the details about whether or not we should have paid our $50 to the California Dairy Club to become a general purpose committee. What do we pay?
Well, we pay them to the state.
The state, sorry, that's right.
Yeah,
But
but it
the
didn't
point-
have anything
For our charter.
to do.
It's for our charter.
No, but, well, all right, we are staying on as, I mean, unfortunately, I don't have the minutes in front of me, but last time we agreed that we were staying on in the, labeled as the general purpose committee and also being part of other things, so that we could endorse people, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So help me out here.
Issues
think
and
that-
candidates.
Huh?
Issues and candidates.
Yeah, that's
But we
right.
could endorse that,
And
them
then-
anyway, what change, and actually being the general purpose, I'm not even sure it was affected by pre-endorsement. There's an endorsement and there's pre-endorsement.
Right, and the
The pre-endorsement has to do with
Right.
the people who are gonna go to the state convention, go to the county, and that sort of thing. Yeah. But what we do as our own club is what has been drafted here.
Right.
And I don't think that truly has anything to do with the general purpose.
It's just tied together simply because we want to be able to say that our bylaws allow us to pick a candidate from our group to go to the process.
The pre-endorsement.
Yeah.
That's when
Right,
there's
that's
more than
right,
one
right,
Democrat.
right, right.
When there's more than one Democrat running for an office,
Right.
somebody's got to decide, well, which one is the one the party's gonna get behind. You can't be behind two people or three people, so.
And for many
That's kind
offices,
of like
that's
what would happen
critical.
with Nanette Barragan
Right.
and Isadore Hall.
Right.
Two Democrats
Right.
running for the same.
That is what, yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of
Right.
pre-endorsement.
Okay, so that was, thank you. All right, Equity Committee, Carol, this is our last committee report.
Okay. So, the Equity Committee and other members of the club have been very supportive of the hotel pickets that have been taking place downtown. Many of you have shown up for the pickets, and thank you for that, and the hotel workers really appreciate that. There also was a prayer vigil for Claudia, and I think several showed up for that. Claudia is the worker from the Renaissance that I told you about before, who was forced to work a double shift, washing dishes, and then she passed out and had a massive brain hemorrhage. The good news is that she was in a coma for quite some time. The good news is that she is awake, but she is paralyzed on one side of her body. She has, she can't walk without assistance. So we had a prayer vigil. There were a lot of clergy there. What's impressive is that there's a fair number of clergy people. I remember they showed up for the Black Lives Matter vigil that we did as well. And they're quite active and quite vocal, and it's very impressive. And they led the vigil, and then we even went into the lobby of the hotel singing "This Little Light of Mine," holding our cardboard candles. And one of the managers came out to speak with us. It was all very friendly. We did not get arrested or kicked out. And she told us how much they care about their employees, and so on. But I think that was good. I think it made a point, and it was also a nice public thing. We were handing out flyers about it, and people were interested to know her story. So that's proceeding. There was also, oh, sorry.
Contributing to her care monetarily.
Well,
What was the question?
If people are contributing.
No, the
Oh, it's the
hotel.
Oh, well, that, yeah. Her family submitted a workers' comp claim for, on-job injury, right? And that was denied.
That's just crazy.
So,
yeah.
in that
That's
sense,
just crazy.
no, they aren't. I don't know, she may have health insurance for the hotel, you know, Janine? That's paying for her hospital care.
I'm not sure if she has insurance. through the hotel or not. A lot of times, like I think the Renaissance, I think it was around $500 a month for insurance, so a lot of the workers opted not to get it through their employer. But yeah, the campaign right now is really to try to get the hotel to take on that as a workman's comp issue.
Yeah. So we had signs saying, you know, do the right thing. Really. So there's that. Also, several of you here were at the rally to raise the minimum wage in Long Beach. We had a rally outside City Hall and then went to the City Council meeting to ask them to do that. And they agreed to think about it, to do a study, which is what City Councils normally do. And as part of the study, they're having a series of meetings. And the first meeting was this week, which I wasn't able to go to, but was anyone here able to go to the meeting?
That was Monday, right? Tuesday.
I totally lost track of days.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Because I had a completely crazy week for still.
It was a nice turnout.
But go ahead, Stella.
Yeah, no, it's a nice turnout. And, you know, hotel workers and other workers in the city just talking about how difficult it is to live off of $9, $10 an hour, you know, trying to.
Was there much opposition?
No. Craig Kojian from downtown Long Beach Associates. I thought I was going to hear something different, but he was just very supportive of the process, and you know, let's all stay calm and let's, you know, see how the research plays out. And there were a couple of business people that were, you know, rough around the edges, kind of, you know, it'll put us out of business kind of thing, you know. But other than that, I mean,
Is there a deadline for the study?
Yeah, I can address that. So what's going to happen is the first three meetings, they're getting public comments, and then they will take these comments. They is the Los Angeles Economic Development Corporation, LAEDC, who's been asked to run this whole study. So they're taking public comments at the first three meetings. There was the one this week, there's one on October 5th, and there's one on October 29th. And then those comments will be incorporated into their report. And then they will have 3 more meetings where people can come and comment on the report. So the first 3 meetings, I think, are probably the most critical, because that's when community members and the working people in the community can come and explain how this would impact their lives and, you know, how their lives are at the moment. So I did take the liberty of typing the information for the next 2 meetings, the one on October 5th and the one on October 29th. If any of you are interested in attending those, and there's a little more information here.
I'm going to incorporate that in the blast.
And I also, yeah, I did send this information to the equity team. I could send it to you, yeah, we could send it to the entire club.
Yeah, well, to our entire MailChimp list.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true, that's true,
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? You already have it? Oh, that's right, because I sent it to you, right? Okay, do you want to share it with someone else, or, okay. Anyone else need to talk to that?
Okay,
Okay,
anything else?
that's all. Yeah, oh, she went with?
I think,
Yeah, I was watching for that today to see if I would get a picketing schedule, because normally I give you the new picketing schedule for the month, and I did not get one today. I'm assuming it will be coming out shortly.
I'm not sure.
You don't know? You're not in charge anymore.
I'm not in charge anymore. I feel so.
I think it's tomorrow morning, thank you for reminding me. From, I think it's 9 to 11 at the Renaissance. I forgot to put that down in my notes. But the rest of the ones for October, I should be getting the schedule very soon, and I will forward it to you. Yes?
Yeah, I just have a comment about picketing and demonstrations and stuff. I talked to a member, Donna Harris, who you guys probably haven't seen in a while, but I talked to Donna about, where have you been? You know, I haven't seen you at the meetings. And she's like, you know, picketing is really not my thing. Demonstrations, that's something I want to do. But yet, she cares about equity issues like this one. And I'm wondering, Carol, if you know if this group can, you know, get some action from people that don't want to show up and picket or demonstrate. There's something else that they can do.
Well, they could go to community meetings just to listen and, you know, comment about the effects of low minimum wages. That's, you know, that's not picketing or demonstrating. There's also, of course, the Moby actions, writing letters, the Supreme Court, things like that.
There's the work on the Proposition 47, and the other work to get
Excellent idea.
dismissal of misdemeanors and felonies, right? So and that requires different input, you know, but it's definitely not picking it.
And in fact, are you on the agenda?
Yeah, you are later.
Like, you're coming
on
in.
the other side.
Okay, no, but it's good that you bring it up now because that's relevant to the discussion. That there are things, you know, that don't involve picketing and demonstrating.
Should I add the last part of it so you don't have to come back and do it again?
You're more on that.
All right.
I'm afraid she's very strict about the agenda.
I was gonna say, the thing that you can do in the blast is to put a little box about, you know, here are some other things you can do other than picketing, here are the things you can do.
So I did this on purpose so that Donna, who I know is going to be watching the video, will hear that, and we miss you.
Well, and also, but also, didn't you tell me, Maria, that Donna also said, and the other Donnas out there, that some people are more interested in doing actual campaign stuff.
Yes.
Others are interested in discussions and making sure that you just talk with fellow Dems and that sort of thing. And so we try to do all of those things, and whereas now, this whole year, we have been working on these separate issues because there weren't campaign things to be working on, but now there are things that are going to be available, so therefore more people are going to be able to be. Our meetings are going to get fuller here.
Right.
All right, and Cindy had one more thing.
I just wanted to point out I gave everybody a copy of the flyer for the rally in front of the Supreme Court. The actual language of what Prop 49 is going to say is in that box. It's really easy to understand. I think if you want to read over it, you can see what will be on the ballot. That's what will be on the ballot come November 2016.
Great. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to switch to the next section of our meeting, or we're now in the action items.
Can I make a statement?
Oh, sure, yes.
I'll tell you what I do when I get pissed off. I sit down and I send an email to all my congressmen and stuff like that.
That's
so
good.
people that
Put
don't
that in
want
the list.
to go out and picket and stuff like that, there's a million ways to make your position on an issue heard.
Make a
You know,
telephone call.
I even go to the TV stations, CNN, Bill O'Reilly. I'm just
Good for you.
They go to this crazy woman, you know.
Model letters.
They're like, there she is again.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Don't make her mad.
Did everybody get the Prop 49 thing?
Okay, so what we're going to do now is move into the action items. And the first action item, who's a real action item, is our guest speaker, Janine Pierce. So Janine, we sort of set up there for you to stand, but you can do whatever you want, wherever you'd like to.
We'll do a song and dance
It's
for you
free
guys.
form,
Yeah.
dancing.
It is wonderful. Let me just see all of you guys. It is really, really awesome to be here with you guys. It's been great to be able to grow in this community, to grow in Long Beach, to find home in Long Beach alongside you guys. That there can be people that can be in council, that can have integrity, that can govern with integrity based on their values. And that is where I am today, that this journey, working on Measure N, the hotel workers minimum wage, that was the campaign that, I mean, I think changed Long Beach. You know, if it hadn't been for Measure N, I don't think we would have the council we have today. I think that 64% of the city saying this is a mandate, people understood what was happening. What was that?
Gave people hope.
It did, and now the minimum wage that we have now is happening because we did that minimum wage. That was the beginning of this wave that you guys see today, and Long Beach was at the forefront of that. The other thing that I've done in Long Beach is Long Beach Rising, which a lot of you guys know about, but it took that training model that I had from SEIU and said, use this in community organizing, right? We can really train people on how to get in there and take somebody from a place of fear to a place of action. Because that's where change is made, when you go from fear to action. And we've trained 170 people. We've worked in coalition to build a coalition where there wasn't before. So people stay in the city, we had 450 people come out last time. And so those are the values that I care about. It's about making sure that democracy is strong. We have 10% of the population in the city that votes. Our democracy is broken, and it can't just be around election time that we care. I want to be able to put together a team of interns or fellows that are going out and canvassing all the time, that are connecting people to local government, because people don't vote because what can government do for me?
They don't know a lot of the things that the city does. And I, came to the city very skeptical of the city, very, they don't do enough. The more I learn, the more I'm like, oh wow, that's a pretty awesome program. Oh, I didn't know that they had this team of health people that go out and help people that are homeless get into services and get them into housing, that we do have a housing first program here. Didn't know that. So if I'm engaged and I don't know that, how do the rest of the district know that? And so I really want to make sure that we're strengthening democracy in that sense, and above all, there are going to be progressive policies, there's going to be infrastructure, but that there's a process where people feel like they have a voice and that they're at the table. The other area that I really want to focus on is the fact that we have a labor-friendly council. It's been great. It's been wonderful. We have minimum wage that I feel really confident is going to pass. But when it comes to bringing our infrastructure, when it comes to our environment, when it comes to the future of Earth, we don't have the votes there. And I feel like we have to take leaps and bounds, that our city is the perfect size to do some creative things, to take bold steps, and we have to be able to build a coalition to do that. And I'm an organizer, and I'm somebody that builds coalitions, and I feel like with me on that council, that I am that next vote that needs to be able to make things go to that next level, that we've got a lot of great people, that we need to be able to count on having a coalition of people to do that work. And that's the thing about politics, is you've got to be able to build a coalition for a big vision. And I cannot do it by myself. Money out of politics, yes. $400 max in Long Beach, lots of calls I got to make. And so it's dollars and it's boots on the ground, right? That district has a high renter area, and I've also been on the Housing Long Beach Steering Committee for a while. But I have to do this with you guys. I have to do this with you by my side, with you in the field, with you talking to people, creating energy. And I know that I have the support of so many of you, and I really appreciate those that have already done so much for the campaign. And it feels like it's really early, but it's not. I'm already knocking on doors. We're already doing volunteer time, and so
It's April, right?
it's April. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too far away.
It's not. And Stella knows that fundraising is killer. It's killer. But I have my full team together right now, and I have a work schedule that is flexible, and I'm out there, doing the work. But we know that I have been a fighter against big business for a long time. I'm somebody that got arrested on Sunset Boulevard with hotel workers. I'm somebody that pushed back on the convention center and the airport. Somebody that has been doing that work. They're not going to let me slide in, right? Okay, so they are going to be getting their monies together. They have their candidate. They're going to do their hard work. So we know that we have to be strong on this. And so I'm just asking for your support. I know hopefully after you guys finish your endorsement process, I'll be one of your first candidates. And real quick on endorsements, I've gotten all the ILWU locals. I've gotten steel workers, the sprinkler fitters. Didn't know there was a union for sprinklers. They are really progressive. Of course, Teamsters and Unite here as well, and then going through that process from now until December. Hopefully get more of that. And I have about 140 community endorsements. So if you're here today,
I want to ask about debates.
there are going to be debates. There's going to be one with Alamuos Beach Neighborhood Association, and then Rose Park is going to do one.
Do you know when?
I have the dates on my calendar. They're like in January and February. Yeah.
So I'm very concerned about quality of life issues.
Yeah.
And so I want to know how you feel about doing something about the parking problem, the traffic problem, the noise problem. I live on Ocean. Okay.
What building do you live in? Do you live in the Aqua? Oh, the round one. Okay. Nice. Yeah, look, parking is something that, if it was easy, it'd be done. But I have had several conversations with people that have worked in the city for years, and they've pointed me to directions of old parking plans that were up before the economy crashed, and they're like, you have to get them out and dust them off and figure it out. That's one thing. Two is working with Brian Ulizeski with City Fabric. He's been extremely helpful in helping the city find new parking spaces. So part of it's like, when you're in the city, you're kind of in this tunnel zone of like what can be done, and sometimes cities consistently are on a no basis. Their automatic response is no. And so working with people outside of the city, like City Fabric, to come up with creative ideas and come to them and say, here's our next big idea. There's some ideas around subterranean parking underneath a couple of the parks, and then making sure that any new buildings that get built, that they include extra parking spaces for residents. That's the biggest push.
They're building a new one across the street from me, and they decreased the number of parking spaces.
Right.
That for, I think for like a 2-bedroom, they're allowing one parking.
One parking space, yeah.
You know, and it's,
well, and that's the biggest push, and I think that people don't believe, there are people that believe that if you take out the parking spaces, that people will stop driving. But the fact is that people don't, unfortunately. It is a challenge of like, how do you get people out of your cars? And that is the push that's being made in downtown, which is like, make it transit oriented, do all of this. But the reality is, I work in LA. I have to have a car to get there because we don't have a transit system to get to work. You know, and so what are we doing to find new parking spaces? But I think there's also some exciting things to add to, because it's never going to be one solution that's going to fix it. How are we bringing in zip cars? How are we bringing in bicycle renting? For some of the younger folks, it might depend on that over a car. Like my husband doesn't have a car. We have one car, you know, and so it was a decision that we made early on, but it has to be a lot of people figuring out. And it can't be 1 or 2 spots at a time. I think the Bonnie Lowenthal's project, which was a subterranean parking underneath Bixby Park, is a fascinating idea to explore. And so I don't know the feasibility of that yet, but I think that it is something that we have to figure out, absolutely. And then other quality of life issues, obviously homelessness in downtown is a big issue. I knew it was. That's not a I mean, it is a problem that we have to be leaders in, but it is not a Long Beach problem to fix. It is a federal problem. It is a state problem. It's a county problem. We have to use all of our resources to agitate and organize them that this has to be a national concern. I think in LA, they raised it to crisis level. Long Beach needs to do the same thing. They don't want to. They want to say, like, we're not as bad as LA. Don't worry about it. We have to raise the concern that this is not okay, that we are letting Americans sleep on cement every single night, that there are shelters that are booked, that people are leaving their belongings outside, are not treated humanely, and are struggling to find dignity again. How are people going to find a job if they are sleeping on the ground? How do you feel dignity with that? So I think a housing first model is something that that MHA has, and one of the conversations I'm trying to have is how do we find the land to build some additional housing that's immediate, getting people into housing first. But how do we also make sure that it's not just a downtown Long Beach problem? That there are models in Detroit and Philadelphia and these other cities that say, find a couple of units all over the city and make sure that there are services and access to get them, you know, maybe a bus that comes by, you know, every day to take them to services, to take them to interviews. But there has to be a creative solution. In Long Beach, we have some great resources. We don't have the capacity yet, and we're not thinking about housing enough. We have to find housing first. Absolutely.
So Pete had a question.
Yes.
I'd like to know, what district are you running for? I don't know anything about it. What areas does it cover? You said there's a variety of incomes, etc. If you tell me which district it is, I'll probably know.
Yeah, it's the second district.
Second district, okay. And that's
Port to Redondo up to 10.
Sujas district.
Yes. So the second district again covers part of the port, part of downtown, like Ocean Boulevard, up to Alameda's up to 10th, over to Redondo, down to Broadway, down to Ocean at Junipero. It is a diverse district because you've got downtown where you've got new population of folks coming in, young professionals. You've got low-income renters that are multiple families are sleeping in one apartment, single family homes, which is closer to where I live. And so you've got business, you've got tourism, you've got the port, you've got the ocean. You have a lot of issues in this district. It is the most complex district. It's also what I believe is the heart of the city. When you think about Long Beach, this is where you think that things are happening. And so how are we strengthening that, but how are we making sure that it's not all focused in downtown? You know, anything else?
Yeah, I have a question. I want to know, when you get elected, what's the first thing you want to concentrate on?
Well, first thing I want to concentrate on is making sure that I'm still talking to the residents. You know, that I don't walk away.
Right.
I want to be able to have a survey to engage people on all the issues that they are talking about. And then I want to put together, and hopefully, you know, by the time the election comes, I'm working on putting together this green platform. You know, I mean, I think that we are at a place where we have a small window where we have some funds available. We're about to have a tough budget cycle, and we need to be able to earmark some of those funds where we have, especially in my neighborhood, you have the alleyways that are torn up. I mean, just holes that have been refilled, holes that have been refilled. You know, it's terrible. Instead of just doing it with cement again, I want to be able to try to get some funds earmarked to make sure that that's permeable cement, right? Which decreases the temperature of the ground and also takes that water and it puts it back into our water system. And so I hope to be able to come out strong with a really strong green platform, because I mean, I have a 3-year-old. You know, I want my grandkids to have water, to have an earth to celebrate, you know? And from what I understand, it's crisis mode. And I don't feel like we've raised it to crisis mode yet.
Don't be shy, you guys. Ask your
Bring
questions
it.
right now.
Give me some tough ones. Let me practice.
People that have never probably even voted. I mean, beyond knocking on doors, are there other things where you could use a community group that they're already meeting and where you can meet 100 people at one time?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things in our district is we're a very engaged district. We have full neighborhood association meetings, full, you know, ORCA and all those things. But it's going to those places, but it's knowing that is a small percentage of people and getting out and talking to people. And I want to explore ways to engage people that don't go to neighborhood association meetings, that work 2 jobs, that have kids at home. So how are we, whether it's online video chats, whether it's online neighborhood meetings in the morning or nighttime, I want to be able to explore some of these options and say, your voice matters, and not just on a piece of paper.
How about having parties? You know,
Yeah.
like engaging a neighborhood and making them come together at a barbecue and then do it
Well, I'm
that
from
way.
Texas, you know that works for me. Yeah, no, already on my block we have 2 barbecues planned that my neighbor is like, we're doing a barbecue. I was like, absolutely, let's do it. One of the things that we're already doing is called, it's Everybody Deserves a Slice of the Pie. We have Pie with Pierce. And so it's not just neighborhood meetings inside people's homes, it's taking them outside in the yard. And we set up a table, we have pie, and I knock the neighborhood beforehand, and then our neighborhood, everybody's out walking. And so you get people that didn't even know about it coming by, and what is this? You know, I'm running for council. Yeah. It's my favorite part so far. Cutting a slice of pie and handing it to my neighbor is so fun. I love it.
I have a question. About your fundraising apparatus.
Yes.
Is there, what kind of structure is set up at this point, especially compared to some of the people who might, the other 2 candidates who might be more established?
Right. Well, one, I want to say that at Lane, not only am I an organizer, but I'm a fundraiser. Lane, most of the people think our money comes from labor. It doesn't. It comes from individual donors. We raised $800,000 at our Lane dinner. Can't take credit for all of that, but all of our staff is trained to be fundraisers, right? So I know how to ask for money. First of all, which is not fun. But right now I have Hannah Holtzman, who's my campaign manager, and she's working with me twice a week to do call time. And then I've also just hired my campaign consultant, who I feel really excited about as well. So we've got the structure in place, and now we're at the point where we're plugging in volunteers and finding a volunteer coordinator to help do that part. But it's got to... Well, so the highest amount that somebody has raised for a Long Beach Council campaign was Carl Kemp, and he raised about $130,000.
You know, and you talked about Long Beach, how it felt like love. That's because we're close. And you know, there's a lot. When you walk down in Long Beach and say hi to people, there's a feeling of community in Long Beach. You probably aren't getting, you know, like, because it's big. So there is so much possibility here. You know, right now, I think that we have like one of the most progressive city governments of any place. You know, we have Robert Garcia, gay man as president, or mayor, and the city council is really open to ideas. I mean, even the Republican guys are pretty open to ideas. I think now would be the perfect time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I see this seat as key for anything big happening, right? If it has to be me. Like, I mean, there is a lot at stake. We've come a long way, but this is the tipping point where you've got to think really creatively, and you've got to get everybody at the table, and you've got to not be just one-sided, you know, and so I feel like it's a really key moment too.
Quick question, is there any matching funds?
There's matching funds if you raise below $40,000, but I expect to raise over that.
Okay, so that,
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah. So, so a couple of things we have. One is asking for your guys' individual endorsements, and then once your club does that, I would very much appreciate that. Fundraising, obviously I have a lot of labor support so far, but there's also a lot of folks who say, well, how much do you have? I'm not going to give you any money until you have X, Y, and Z, you know, and so grassroots dollars now, what I call my love list, matters. Whether it's $25 or you sign up for $100 a month or reoccurring payments, that stuff puts money in the bank so that people say she can fundraise, she can do it, okay, we'll give her the money now. You know, and so it's a lot of that, Stella's like, yeah. It's a lot of that waiting to see what you can do. And so I thought that I had my clipboard with all my stuff, but I realized Hannah has it and she's in school. But we have tons of events coming up. So this Saturday we have a beer tasting event that's $30, so a lower dollar amount. And then we have Roberto Uranga is hosting something and Steve Neal is hosting something on the 26th. And then Robeson is hosting something, I think on the 18th. So we have lots of opportunities for you guys to. The Oktoberfest, yeah.
We're hosting something on the 23rd or 24th.
23rd, yes.
So all this is on your website, right?
It is. Is it on the website yet?
You on the spot there, Steve.
Yeah. I don't think it is. I don't think it's published yet. Yeah, so we will get that published in the next 2 days, and then my hope is to send out an email blast in the next couple days as well. So if you guys sign up tonight, then we'll make sure you can give the sign-in sheet to the most amazing volunteer supporter ever. He has been, so Stuart has been amazing, guys. He's in charge of getting all our data up. I mean, I'm sure you guys know, but he just is always hands-on and right away, and it's just been really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shane. It's really, really good to hear the whole story, the whole picture. And I think everybody really appreciated the opportunity, and you know, we have discussed how we're going to proceed with all this, and so we have had some requests from people in the club to bring in Eric Gray, for example, and that was Steve, and then I didn't know about the third candidate.
I didn't either.
But anyway, so that may be happening in the next 2 months, and we're trying to be, you know, egalitarian at the same time. Anyway,
yes, thank you.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take a break for just about 10 minutes, you guys. So far, the meeting is coming along, as we said. So now we're moving into, that was our action items situation. And now we're going to talk about announcements. And then before we finish, we're hoping to have a little bit of time like we did at the end of the last meeting to just kind of banter about for some issues in the news that anyone might be interested in talking about, just like we did last time. We'll see if it works.
So we're continuing actions, right?
No, we're doing announcements.
This is announcements.
I thought we were doing.
I
thought we were doing voter registration opportunity.
We are.
Yeah, but it's coming under table.
Okay, right. So, because this is the unfixed up agenda, but I had spent so much time with it that I had, you know, that I kind of was remembering how I did that. All right. Anyway. Okay, so under the tabling events, Maria has really been a proponent, and Cindy both, have really been proponents of the necessity to get back out into the community and to table and to be a presence in the community. And so we had things planned over the summer. Some of them came off, about 3 of them out of about 6 or 7, but it was just a lot of things going on. So now we're getting more serious, and we have set up some tabling events for October, and we'll even do more. The idea is, in tabling, is now voter registration. It was a little hard to do that when there was no election going on, but now we can start talking about voter registration. We have a fair number of flyers and things. We have the Moby things, we have the Proposition 47 things, we have a number of things, and the idea is to get out into the community on a regular basis and talk to people, and hopefully they'll join our group as they did the last time. So, the first one, I'm going to let you guys talk about that, but we want you guys to table. We want you to come. You'll be getting flyers and not flyers, but blasts, right? Think of the word, the blasts about the information. It's about a 3-hour commitment. If we have real regular times when we go to a site and we talk to people on the corner of wherever it is, and then don't do it again for a few weeks, it really does make a difference. People start looking for us. So, maybe Maria, you could talk about the First Friday tabling event, which is
First
an
Friday
ongoing thing.
tabling event is at Bixby Knolls, and it's always fun. There's a bunch of people that walk up and down the street, a lot of young people, a lot of families. We park ourselves right in front of the Trader Joe's parking lot. They've got some nice built-in benches right there. We just scoot up our little tables, put our banner out, and just start saying hello to people. You know, you'll hear me out there going, hey, register to vote, you guys. You know, if you've moved, you probably need to re-register. So people will come up to us and talk to us about issues. There's always some guy that wants to talk about, you know, the Republican side and the more conservative issues with us. And we actually like to engage with these guys. You know, it's not about arguing, but it's just about presenting one side. And after you do this a few times, you start to look forward to it. I know I do. I really like that. Because it starts a conversation. And other people that are walking by, they hear that and they kind of hang around. They just don't want to listen, and sometimes they jump in. A lot of times when we have a particular issue like Obamacare, that was huge. We had so many people coming and asking us for information. They were almost shy to ask. You know, they were almost like, hey, I don't know if I should ask you about this, but is there any way that you know that how we can get Obamacare? I mean, we were really happy to give them that kind of information. There's always fresh info that comes from our tabling events. Like Dagmar, the Prop 47 clinics to try to get people to start a new path in life after being in the system. That's really important stuff. That's not the kind of stuff that they tell you about at work. That's not the type of stuff that you hear about at school. So this information is valuable to me. And also, empowering somebody with the vote is like the best thing you can do, I think. Trying to get more people involved into the system of democracy. You know, democracy it's so fragile. It has to be nursed. It has to be nurtured. And I think that we do that when we are out there asking people to register to vote.
And it's a good opportunity to encourage people to come by and go, who are you guys? What do you do? Oh, it's a Democratic. Oh, guess what? You know, would you like to come to our debate party? We're having it, you know, and say, you know, if you want the information, you can share that information with them. And get them to come to that debate party.
People are usually shocked that we are not paid. You know, when we say, you know, we're not getting paid, we're volunteers, they're shocked. Because they just figure you're making all this effort and taking all this time and you're doing all this stuff and you're not getting paid. You know. Thanks, Janine.
Thank you guys so much. I hope to be back next month.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
So you and Carol.
Yeah, Carol and I, we usually are there at about 5:30. We get the prime parking spot right out in front of the Trader Joe's parking lot. We set up the tables and we hang out and we start doing our thing. So if you guys want to drop by, you know, and join us, please feel free. We are there usually till about 8:30 is when we start tearing down, and we're gone by like 8:45, 9 o'clock. So come on by. That's the most regular thing every first Friday. And we do have some other places that we're going to do. We're trying to spread out around the city. If you know of a place, especially in like Northtown or on the west side, where it's safe for us to set up a table, please let us know. Because you know, we want to reach out to that. Yeah. Well, we can always ask.
Yeah.
Yes, Pete.
I just want to introduce myself because I came in late.
Yeah.
My name is Peter Rosenwald.
Thank you, Peter, for introducing yourself.
Peter Rosenwald, and I'm in several different groups. First of all, I'm leaving Long Beach to go to live in Leisure World in Seal Beach in about a month.
Oh.
So, but I hope to still be involved, and I'm on the South Coast Interfaith Council Justice and Peace Committee. If anyone's interested in coming to meetings, I'm willing to talk to you about it. I'm involved right now with the Long Beach Police Department in terms of the arrest of a student by the name of John Kindred, who kind of was a political prisoner. The way he was arrested, I can talk to you after the meeting about that, but it involves the public defender, the former chief of police, now the sheriff, Doug Otto, and Jeff Kellogg, people that I believe were involved in this person's arrest. I'm also very interested in environmental issues, and prison issues especially. Where's Dagmar? I don't want to mention just Dagmar. Okay, because I'm very, very interested in prisoner by the name of Mumia Abu Jamal, who is a prisoner in Pennsylvania, and for over a year has been denied proper medical care for hepatitis C. It's a real interesting thing, and I spoke to Noel Hanrahan, who's the head of prison radio, on the phone this afternoon. I'm not going to go on any further. That's okay. Tell you, I am interested in these different issues and also Long Beach politics. Thank you for just being here and you're in.
Well, come back next month just because you're moving to San Francisco.
Doesn't mean I won't be here.
Close enough.
Yeah,
It is close enough.
yeah. Thank you. Thank
Sure,
you.
you're welcome. I hope to
Okay.
meet all of you too. So.
Another tabling event. We have a really interesting opportunity that Lynn's going to talk about.
I volunteer a couple of times a week at my sister's former convalescent home, and the activity director approached me and said, you know, I want to do the voter registration here. And I was like, you know, that's what we do, okay? I said, we can bring the forms, we can have the volunteers come, we can handle this for you. And it was very interesting, you know, because she had no idea I was in the Yes We Can Club. You know, she just she wants to get the people in the convalescent home engaged, you know. And they do vote.
Oh, yes.
Robert Garcia spoke to him a couple of times, and I even willed over a couple of people to the polling place next door to vote. One of them voted Republican. Yeah, it hurt me to have to fill out a form for him, but, you know. Anyway, yes.
I just want to mention, I had a friend who was in Sharon Convalescent Hospital, which is on 3rd Street in Los Angeles. And that day, the county actually sent someone from the registrar's office to assist the staff in getting people registered. So that's a resource that could be used for more than just that one nursing home, but it's possible if you call, you know, the registrar's office in Norwalk. Find that out.
We're kind of experts because
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
what
you
we
are?
do.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
We've
we
been
do
doing
in our
it for like
tabling.
6 years.
Yeah.
We've got
So
we've been through the training.
I've gotten a couple of volunteers already. And
When is it?
it is on October 14th.
It's actually on the front
It's on
of
the
the first
agenda.
page of the agenda.
Okay.
Oh, right.
From 10 to 12, and the address is there. So, you know, if you have some time free on that day, it's a Wednesday, I believe.
What hospital? Convalescent?
It's Vista Cove. It's formerly, it was Hillcrest, but now it's called Vista Cove Care Center. 3401 Cedar.
It is a Wednesday.
Yeah.
3401.
3401 Cedar Avenue.
Oh, Cedar. Okay.
In Long Beach. There's a couple on that block.
So if people are interested, should they contact you, Lynn?
Yes,
Just to say, do you know how many people are coming?
How many people?
Like, if I want to volunteer, I'm going to contact you to say, hey, I'm coming.
Yeah.
And Laurel will
So how
contact
many people you need, then?
Well, probably, right now I've got 2 volunteers and myself, so maybe a couple more.
How big is the
So like
site?
2 to 6 people?
Yes.
Yeah.
How big is the facility? Usually it's
Maybe. I'm not sure. I never asked for the head count.
It's just a little different.
I do know that they have approximately 50 MS patients, because that's who I work with, the MS group.
And
You know, that's
also, I
gotta feel
think the
good to do
director
that.
Yeah, really.
wanted you to register employees as well. So
Right.
you're not just.
Right,
doing
she's
the
opening to employees as well, so it's not just the residents that live there, also employees, so. Okay.
It might be a brand new avenue for us to explore.
I know, really.
Senior
It's just
citizens.
Well, not only this
Yeah.
facility, but maybe some
Another,
others,
yes,
you know.
Throughout the whole city. I mean, it's, you know, today Vista,
Yeah.
tomorrow, the whole city. I'm serious, and that means more clubs and everything. That's why, you know.
Yes.
I'll help, you know, I will help you with health issues.
Okay.
That's one of my.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have the address.
Yeah.
I figure we probably should get there maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes ahead of time
Okay.
to help set up.
So this month, we have a minimum of 2 tabling. If I have more, watch your dues for that. Okay, we have 2 more quick items, and then we'll, see if we have any time left for special time. All right, so we have the MOE, Mobilize, Organize, and Elect program, and Stuart, are you willing to say a couple words about that?
Do you want me to talk about it?
Oh, Maria's, okay.
All right, you guys have probably heard of Mobilize, Organize, Elect. I spoke about this after attending the State Democratic Convention. It is a full-featured, web-based piece of software that we are going to be able to use on our phones to go out and cut maps when we want to, knock on doors and stuff and get people involved in voting. This is going to do away with having the clipboard and a million pieces of paper, having to do this thing and I dropped it and
I can't do it, even demo it.
you are going to be able to send your information through this software, through your phone, to the rest of your team. You know what, I already did this block, or somebody couldn't show up to help us, walk, so we're going to take this block. That kind of stuff. It's going to make it much easier, and I think it's going to attract younger people to want to help us do this, because they can use their phone, and they can use their phone a lot better than we can.
So why is it on our agenda now? I forgot.
It's on our agenda because you have to ask for it. You have to be a chartered Democratic club, which we are, and you have to ask for it. The president of the club has to say, let me have the MOU, which is the Memorandum of Understanding. I got that in the mail. Clark Lee sent it. There's different levels of access. Stuart and I are going to go over this. We're going to present to the e-board what level of access we think we can handle. Based on the size of our club right now, hopefully our club will grow. We'll get at least 40 people, and maybe we can petition for a different level of access. Level of access is all about, can you cut maps? Can you look at districts? Can you get certain levels of information? That's all that means. I just want to talk about it right now because I want to start you guys thinking about the election and exactly what we're going to do. And this is, to me, the most exciting part of how we're going to mobilize people for 2016.
And it does kind of bring up the fact that Janine, if we choose to endorse her, she's just been talking about the effort to need to get out and campaign for her as well.
I use that as a school campaign.
And we might need to use something like that for her.
And we use that. And it is easy. We were doing that walking.
When did you do that?
Yeah.
That was, last year.
Is that the school board?
Yeah, a few school board this year.
You probably were using a prototype of this because this thing just came out.
Well, yeah, it was a phone. It was a smartphone, and it had everybody's addresses and everything in it. And when we were canvassing, we just go to the door, and we would, knock on the door. And after we spoke to the people, we just clicked on this thing that we were at this address.
Yeah. There have been pieces of software like that. This one though is going to blow you away. And if you really are into it, there is a summit that's coming up later on this month. I'm going to put this out in a blast.
The 25th.
Los Angeles County, LACDP is putting on this summit to 2016. And part of the summit is going to be showing people how to use this Mo software. The summit itself is about honing your campaign skills, honing your organizational skills. It's an all-day thing. It's from 9 to 5. It's free. They provide a lunch. They ask for a donation, of course. There's a dinner afterwards. But you'll get the whole 411 in an email blast from me. And I really encourage you.
We have to send some people.
To go. Well, Carol and I have already RSVP'd for it.
I'm going.
Are you going? Okay. The deadline is, I think, the 16th to RSVP. Yeah.
What's the date again?
Which one?
25th.
It's the 25th. If you have the digital copy of your agenda, there's a link on it. Just click on the link and sign up. I think it's going to be really great.
Thank you, Maria.
What campaign did you work on?
It was for, she was running for the LA School Board for, up in the Watts District.
Oh, okay. That's not long.
No, it wasn't the grant.
Okay, our final
real
agenda item is Dagmar to talk a little bit more, continuing to educate us on Proposition 47.
As I've said quite a few times now, it's complicated though. So remember Prop 47 is the proposition that we passed that will allow people to expunge some of their felonies. It turns them into misdemeanors, and it helps them, especially with getting housing and with employment, right? So it's a great thing to be able to do, and it only applies to drug offenses and thefts under $950. There is, and that only is going to last for 2 more years, so it's kind of critical for there. I think in the beginning there were 300,000 people who were eligible to have action taken based on that, and so there's a great need to do a lot of work in the next 2 years to get most of the people who can take advantage of it to let them take advantage of it. And there are many groups working on this. There's a coalition of groups that has clinics in Watts and Long Beach, the 2nd and 4th Saturdays of the month. Watts is the 2nd Saturday, and Long Beach is the 4th one. And that one is a coalition between a New Way of Life and the UCLA Law School and some other organizations. And it includes some other statutes that were on the books and are still on the books that also allow people to get former convictions dismissed. And if you volunteer to be in that part of the process, you get some training at the Watts headquarters the Thursday before the first time that you would go on a Saturday. And we never quite get the information until just before the event, but it's generally been, I've been doing it now for probably almost 6 months. And that one is a little bit more complicated, what you end up doing with the people. You interview them, you fill out forms with them. What you're doing is you're working under the auspices of the attorneys, and you're cutting the work a bit shorter for the attorneys by interviewing the people, getting everything all their former convictions kind of on a clear form, having them fill out waiver forms, talking to them, getting a declaration of, because under the old code sections, it wasn't just an automatic thing. You had to qualify for it and have a judge decide that you were deserving of it. So a statement is really important to do, but it's extremely rewarding, actually, right?
I guess that's why you're doing it.
Yes. Well, and I don't walk around from place to place as easily as I used to, so being able to sit and do something is a good way to do it. And then there's another project which involves the interfaith community. ICO, I think, is the one that
Interfaith Community Organization, Long Beach Interfaith Community Organization, which is on 56th Street, right next to the 99-cent store on Atlantic. Okay. And that's where they're located.
Right, they're involved, and the Unitarian Universalist Church's social committee is involved, and others, right? Like Yes We Can, because we have a number of people involved in that one too, and that's on the 3rd Saturday. And that one deals only with Prop 47. So it's a little bit more direct, because what you have to do is a lot more straightforward. You just fill out the forms. You still have to read the rap sheet or the court docket, which is a very difficult thing to do, actually, but you begin to learn, and it's kind of fun to do that. But you don't have to get into the fee waivers, and you don't have to get into the declaration, which becomes more complicated. But and
Can
that.
these guys vote? Can they vote?
Well, those of us who've been registering voters, we know that felons can vote in the state of California, right? The only people who can't vote are people who are currently on parole, probation, or in prison, right?
Right. Well, it's possible if you're on probation.
You might be able to.
You might be able to vote because it's not might not have been a felony or serious enough.
It would be important to know because of this election year.
Yeah, well, it was in the past, for the past elections, for those of us who did a lot of the tabling for that. And the training for the Long Beach one, which is strictly Prop 47, is held on a Wednesday before the event. Now, I don't know where it's going to be this month because the place it was at in a upstairs in a bank building on.
Union Bank, the Central Shop, Central Community has cameras, but they're no longer.
We were told they're not gonna do it there anymore.
They can't.
Okay.
Because they can't, right, because they're moving or something. So I don't know where they're going, and I don't know where this is gonna be held. But I think anyone who's interested, if you could give me that information, and I'll make sure that the people that normally communicate with those who are volunteering know that you're interested in doing it. And we currently have them. I mean, Shana's been doing this. Phil Geeson has been doing it. Bill Baldiga has been doing it. So there are people who've been involved.
There's
in
always
doing
yes we
this.
can guys doing kind of
Yeah,
things like this.
yeah.
Right.
So,
Well, thank you.
yeah, if you're interested, it's good. And it is an equity issue. Now, not everyone may agree with that, because some people have some pretty strong negative feelings about those who made mistakes earlier in their lives. However, most of us would agree it is an equity issue.
It's a democratic value.
Which is a democratic value. But sometimes when I talk about it, I get the feeling that I'm getting some resistance.
In this group?
If you don't give people a chance and they
I
can't
said
get a
in
job,
general.
what are they gonna do?
I say in general.
I want to give this to Dagmar. It is the program for A New Way of Life, the tribute program from last December. And it has Susan Burton's picture and statement in here. And yes, I'm 47. It was a star-studded event at the Omni Hotel, a beautiful hotel in downtown Los Angeles. And I'd like to also suggest, if possible, if it fits into your bylaws, that you contribute maybe even $10 or $15 to A New Way of Life to get on their list of, because they're always coming out with some really good things. So Dagmar, this is, or to the president.
I can give it to them.
Yeah, to
President.
Right, but please take a look.
I know a lot about it already.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you very
again,
much.
at our tabling events, there are some flyers that Dagmar's provided that we can have there on the table in case people came up and might be interested in doing it.
Right, yeah, they're actually, what I have currently are the current door hangers that were done by A New Way of Life and a group of others. We were hoping to put a sticker on them to include information about the Long Beach one, but I just don't have those stickers yet. But I'll give you some tonight so you can have them tomorrow night.
All right, so thank you. So our last little piece, if anyone has, this is a completely optional part before adjournment. Phil Geeson, one of our e-board members, said at our last meeting that there's so much negative stuff that we can always talk about that he said, let's have some positives. And so some people had positives, and then it kind of turned into a little bit about some of the issues that are coming up. And if anyone has anything you want to contribute, okay.
Did you guys hear the UN speech by our president? Did you guys hear that? I urge you to listen to the entire speech because I was very majorly impressed by this speech. Imagine speaking to all these countries. Nobody really agrees on much. Okay, there's a few things we do, but here is our president talking about how important it is for all of these countries to work together, recognizing the differences, but also comparing to where we were to where we are now, and the progress that was made. And he did it in such a subtle and friendly way that I have to tell you, I'm driving to work listening to this speech going, man, can't we elect this guy again? You know, he's so articulate, he's so smooth in his delivery. I can't help but think about George Bush, okay, and how I was just,
so smooth.
I was exhausted after listening.
Comparison there,
I'd be exhausted after listening to his speech, just going, he made it through without screwing up, you know, not even caring what he said. But when our president speaks, I really feel like he is so knowledgeable about what he's saying. He's not just blurting out these little quips for people to put on their bumper sticker. He really does understand what he's saying.
Something that somebody else wrote.
Yeah, that was a highlight of the week for me to hear that.
Okay, Shana.
Well, in the secret,
People that you're running with.
okay.
There was a wonderful speech you gave today about the shooting of 11 people in Oregon, and I don't know if anyone saw that, but it was really, really effective. The need for sensible gun control and, you know, and just kind of talking again off the cuff. I don't think he had notes, and it was very impressive.
He really laid it on the line.
Yeah.
How many times does this have to happen?
Yeah, I hope I don't have to do
He's
that.
right,
I
we
know.
have to.
That's what he's We're the only first world country that has this continually happening.
It's
So
shocking.
It's something that we're doing
beyond
wrong.
shocking.
Something that Congress is not doing. I think you can point that out.
Anyone else have any?
John Boehner's leaving.
Oh,
Yeah, but
gee,
yeah,
I'm
but
so
they-
sad.
No,
There's no good
That's
reason.
right, his replacement is a doofus.
He doesn't have a good command of
He's a
the English
doofus.
language.
He's coming out as a doofus, it's shocking.
Not only that, but
Yes.
he let slip that the only reason we
Well,
have
one
this
meeting you guys-
Benghazi, this particular Benghazi committee
Right.
is to bring Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Right.
He said that?
Very
He
clear.
said it yesterday.
What a doofus. Right, so his own party is now saying he should retract it and say sorry
And he's only passed 2 pieces of legislation.
They say he's a very affable. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
From
wait.
California.
From the Central Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, last night Rachel Maddow,
Yes.
she called him out, and
Yeah.
he looked just like a Sarah Palin in his word
Yes.
choices.
Yes.
I mean, he wasn't completing
That was
sentences.
a hungry.
All of the ends of his sentences were, and the verbs were all backwards.
Can he see Alaska from his home?
Probably.
Can he see Alaska from his
I
home?
don't know.
Yeah. Quite as bad.
One thing
as
I've seen
Sarah
here-
Palin. He really doesn't have a good command.
I don't think that he's gonna have the power.
Because he's Boehner's right-hand man and
He's from
Boehner's
Bakersfield.
Yeah, but you know,
Sun fun, stay play.
You know, he actually, I guess according to Rachel Maddow, he has the least experience.
yeah, because
of any,
that,
of any
in terms of women.
Yeah, and there's 2 pieces of legislation that he's
Well,
passed
and
has
he-
to do with
he made
naming
a
the
whole post office.
facilities and
But
nothing.
one of the things that I heard was on that regard was that, I don't know if you guys remember, but every time John Boehner used to stand out there, he would be with a woman, Kathy, somebody rather than, you know, the black bob lady. So she's been around for like, I don't know, 15, 20, she's been a representative for a long time. And this article thing I read was that she was sort of hoping once Boehner was gone that she would be considered as a woman.
Nope.
Nah.
Nope.
She's in the wrong party.
Yeah, they don't consider women. She doesn't intend to try and run for any of the other positions.
No.
So, yeah, she says she's gonna stay where she is. That's sad.
Well, can I like give one more thing just to wrap it
Oh,
up?
look, it's your meeting, I should.
Okay, I just heard that I am like blown away.
Where did you hear that?
On NPR today.
Is this club, who does this club support? Or
No.
Well,
one yet?
we're not supporting anybody yet.
Yes, okay.
You know, we gotta wait till that primary happens.
Okay.
But, you know, personally myself, I'm looking at Bernie going, that's my guy. I like that guy.
He's really
But you know, all the naysayers were like, oh, he's, you know, it's great, but he's not gonna make it out. And he just keeps proving them wrong week after week after week. I mean, you know, I'm sure Hillary has quite the money machine. But Bernie, it's like, here's $5, Bernie. You know, here's $20.
Well, what we decided, Pete, at our last meeting is that we put our hands in the middle, and that whoever the candidate is, we will support that candidate. He was the Democratic candidate, but we are, we all have our, kind of our own candidates at this point, and, or couple of choices. So, that was your question, right? Who
Yeah,
are we
basically,
supporting?
yeah, thank you.
We haven't done it yet, because we don't know yet.
Actually, last month, this first Friday thing, Annette Berman and I did it, and there was a pretty strong Bernie Sanders group there on Atlantic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they were marching up and down, handing out things.
They're so excited.
They were very excited. Yeah, they had that. That was good.
All right, well, listen, that was great, you guys. Let's adjourn the meeting, and thank you all for coming, and
If you have other things to talk about,
Thank you.